calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! Let's go to all my hustlers out there. Burning the candle at all ends. You know what time it is. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I thought about this and I said to myself, I'm not going to do it. I try really, really hard. But I can't in good conscience not say what is on my heart. And it behooves me. But I'm going to put this in my own personal, like I'm going to use myself instead of going after a particular individual. They don't deserve this because they are not a public figure. But they work for a public figure. So I'm not going to say who it is, who the public figure is. So I'm going to tell the story in a sense of how I would approach it if it had happened to me. Like, in essence, I was the public figure and a reporter or a talk show host had approached me. And one of my staffers, if I was that big of a guy, right? You know, if I was a big deal, and I had a staffer at the event. So if the reporter, talk show host, or whatever had come up to me and was respectful and kind, kept their voice very monotone, direct, showed me absolute respect. Hey, pleasure to meet you, Reese. I'm so-and-so from so-and-place. And I said, hey, nice to meet you, and shook your hand. And then as you were talking to me about you wanting me to come down and have a conversation with you on your show, I say, oh, no, yeah, I totally understand. And you'd start giving me the premise of the conversation. Oh, absolutely. Yes, I know that person that you're talking about. Oh, you do? Okay, you were there too. Oh, right. Absolutely. Fine. You know, that's great. You'd like me to make an appearance on your program. Yeah, you know what? I don't see why not. That's, you know, that is an important issue. I'd love to come down and talk. Here, talk to my guy here. And let's say my guy or gal, whomever, looks at you, the person who had just had a great conversation with me, and hands you a slip of paper with some chicken scratch on it. You can't make out anything. The writing is horrible. It looks like it was written. A person in a coma holding a pen and someone moved the piece of paper underneath them. That's how scribbly it was. It was an awful mess. Went to hand you the card. And you respectfully saying to my handler, I'm sorry, I can't read that. And then my handler does this. Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And put it in his pocket and walked away from you. How would you want me to handle that guy or that gal? If I had found out, if you had informed me, yeah, you know, I was the guy you were having a conversation with at that press conference, and you told me to speak to your guy, and he handed me some chicken scratch, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't read that. Is there something else that you can give me? And say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and put it in a pocket. What would you say to that person? Let me tell you what I would say to my handler. I would say, who the f do you think you are? He asked you for a number. You saw that we had a good exchange. Do you represent me or not? What about him that you have to be rude to that person? What'd you have to be rude to him for? Are you some sort of clown? Do you not respect my role here that as a mayor or public official that in some way that we treat people in the news media in that way? Did you offer him some other way to contact me? And why would you have a problem with that? Who put you in charge? You're a lackey. You're a lackey. You're the guy who holds my coat. You're the guy who opens the door for me. You're a scheduler. Do you think that you're like you are sort of my lieutenant in some sort of way? Do you think like you have any governing part? You're a nobody. I could get a trained monkey to do your job. But that happened to me today. That happened to me today. And I'm not going to lie, it was the first time since I've been here that I had to deal with a handler of sorts. That I wanted to be physical. Seriously. It was disrespectful. Ridiculously so. Unnecessarily disrespectful. You try very hard, and I do. I try very hard. When I am out in public, I am representing the brand WTIC. I don't walk out into the public and start grabbing public officials and putting them in the hole, putting them in a sleeper hold. Go to sleep, go to sleep. I don't do that. I don't dive off the top rope. I don't scream expletives at them. You're a fraud. I don't do that. I always carry myself with respect. And I would do that regardless of the fact that I worked at WTIC. People answer my questions. I ask honest questions. By the way, I've got audio from the event. We'll get to that in a sec. But I think, and I've seen this in other places, so far this has happened to me twice. First person to do it to me was a woman. And I was stunned because that woman had the audacity to wag her finger in my face. And I started to say to myself, these people must not know who I am. These people clearly do not understand the type of person that I am. Am I being too kind? Am I being too respectful? Am I being too decent to these animals? When a woman wagged her finger in my face, I'm like, seriously, I looked at her, I was just like, what the hell are you doing? And it's just one of those things where people talk in this way, and I just go, where do you think you are? I worked in D.C. And by the way, D.C., all of them, scum. Everybody thinks they're the most important person in the world. Seriously, the janitor thinks they run the place. Scum, all of them. But these guys, we're talking about assistants, schedulers, people behaving in this disrespectful tone. Nobodies. That's right. Nobodies. That's who they are. Nobodies. And I think I have to start saying it. Let me get the word out. Whoever you are, a public official, media personality, actor, rapper, whatever the case is, I am always going to deal with you in respect. With respect, I am going to speak to you in a respectful manner. I'm going to say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Reese on the radio, blah, 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 blah. I'd love to talk to you for a few minutes if I can. Maybe talk a little bit on the record or off the record. I'd like to have a conversation. If you direct me to your assistant, please let them know do not be disrespectful to me. Please let them know to mind their manners. I'm just putting it out there. I would happily speak to whomever it is your liaison is. Happily. But the minute, second, nanosecond, they get disrespectful, all bets are off. Do we understand each other? I hope so. This is the reason why I never deal with these people. When I was talking to Bob Larson's people, you remember that back in the day? Huh? Bob Larson was getting the endorsement of Richard Blumenthal. Bob Larson and I are having a great conversation going back and forth. He wasn't telling me, hey, I got to go. He wasn't trying to interrupt me. He was engaged in conversation, and one of his handlers grabbed me by the arm and said, hey, sir, I told you. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Get your hands off me. I couldn't believe he did it. I still can't believe he did it. I don't know if he was shocked. I don't know if he was. I've never seen that. Imagine one of the reporters talking to a public official and one of the handlers had grabbed a reporter and told them that's enough. Do you understand the type of things that... Now, I think that's what it was. I think that's what it is. I think that there is this degree of disrespect that's out there, be it for this network or be it for me, but I am telling you, I said John Larson. I said Bob Larson. John Larson. Thank you, Lori. Nonetheless, I've got to say this. And by the way, Bob Larson, the good guy. Just so everybody knows, he's our weather guy. Nonetheless, my point is, that disrespect is over. Now, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I do not go into any of these engagements maliciously. I have no intent of being malicious. I'm going there to get answers. I'm going there to talk on behalf of the listeners of this network and on this network. But when these people start feeling, though, it's necessary to be this disrespectful, because that's what they tell us, right? They say, oh, the news media, they're the enemy of the people, and they're always going after their hack jobs and all. That wasn't even the case. Me and this individual were having a conversation about something that had nothing to do with him on a topic that he is very much in favor of. So we weren't even having a contentious argument. He didn't even see the look on the guy's face that looked like, hey, get this guy out of my way. No, we were shaking hands and agreeing as we were talking. And it wasn't like a debate. It was just like, yeah, there's some things that, I would love to discuss with you on this because I know that you're one of the people who are at the forefront of this subject. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So this bozo who comes in, who I want to deal with, I was like, okay. And I said to him, I said, listen, with all due respect, we tried to get in touch with your folks before, but every time we deal with one of your little intermediaries, they've always kind of brushed this off. And I kind of want to make sure that I can get in touch with you. Can we at least ensure that? Oh, sure, absolutely. Enters the bozo. And again, I try. I'm nice. I'm not going to be disrespected like this anymore. I'm just not. You wouldn't do this to WFSB, WTNH. You wouldn't do it to Fox 61. You wouldn't do it to any one of these folks. And I don't know what it is. And I don't want to hear this nonsense about, because you're on a conservative network and because you're a Republican and all that other nonsense. I don't want to hear it anymore. So, I know a lot of folks at City Hall. I know you guys listen to the show. God bless you. Public officials, get the word out. I'm going to be in the streets. I'm going to be at the press conferences. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask you to appear on the show, phone call or live. If your handler does not know how to talk to people with a modicum of respect, or if they think that they are an extension of your role or an extension of you in some way, that they could be dismissive or downright rude, I will curse that piece of garbage out right there in front of everybody. I will make a scene. Whoever that worthless worm is that would take the opportunity while I am showing you the utmost respect for that piece of garbage to lose decorum in that setting, I will make a spectacle out of that fool. Please tell these fools to get it together. I don't need to say it one more time. I won't say it again. It'll never be repeated. And I never want to have to repeat it to you either. Not one person I've had a conversation with, I don't care who it is, has ever seen me be disrespectful. You saw my conversation with Richard Blumenthal. You guys have seen my conversations with other people who are on the opposite side of the aisle. In fact, when they meet me, they like me. Why? Because I'm always respectful. They say it. They repeat it. But whoever you got working for you, teach them something. I don't know, get them behavioral training, send them to HR, do whatever it is that's got to be done. But we really, really need to understand that there's a level of disrespect that cannot be tolerated. I tried. I'm done with being nice about it. So far, this is the third time. And I wonder why some of these people say, it was like, Reese, why do you even bother? These people are disrespectful. I got to maintain who I am. But I will not allow people to be abusive and just all out of sorts. Again, I didn't even want to get into this today. But it had been bothering me ever since it happened this morning. Susan Bysewicz was there, which again didn't even make the part that is, we're talking about elected officials, people there. They were very nice. People I don't agree with. I mean, politically. I didn't care about it. I stayed on topic. I didn't go in there. I didn't ambush anybody. I asked really, really good questions. They were great questions, in fact. There's a big forensic van that they've got going on, driving all around the state to help police stations work with ballistics and forensics. And I asked very pointed questions. And it was a good exchange. So everybody knew what I was there in good faith. I'm just kind of thrown off. Anyway, we'll work the audio. We'll play it for you. There was a press conference in New Britain today about a forensic van that's going to help. This forensic van or truck, as it were, was instrumental in solving the case with the Rhode Island shooting at Brown University. And they were holding that press conference today to talk about how that van is going to be stationed in Meriden, and it's going to be used all around the state to help police officers solve crimes. So I was there for that. And then, of course, in doing so, try to have a conversation with an elected official. And that's how we get where we are. Anyway. It's not like I said, I love what I do. I do. I love what I do. And I love the people that I meet. No matter what political stripe they are, it's always fun to meet some of the people or the newsmakers, as it were. So, anyway, we do what we can. We'll go take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. I've got another story about juveniles that I want to get into about their incarceration or the limit of their incarceration that's being proposed. Also, we've got a new tax that's being proposed on sugary drinks. We'll play some audio from that in the 3 o'clock hour. Plus, we have a 12-year-old who has died, and the homeschool families are upset about the way that the story is being promoted, or at least established in the news media. They're calling it another homeschool death, and homeschool families are not happy about that. We'll get into all of that, so stand by. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio.
fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
I hate being rude, dude. I hate it. It takes me out of character. But I'm an old school guy. I am. I'm an old school guy. I know it sounds messed up.
No. I'm very, very similar in that regard because I'm about respect.
Yes.
And disrespect, is a big trigger for me because I go out of my way to give everybody the utmost respect, no matter who they are. And so if I'm doing that and you're disrespectful to me while I'm giving you the utmost respect, then that's an automatic trigger.
Yeah.
Now I'm on fire.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I guess there's a million things that run through my head because I have to look. I know what I'm saying to myself. I'm going, Roseanne is not going to be happy if I behave the way that I would in most cases. I have to consider it's not just me. I have to take care of my wife and,
And it's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio. Exactly. Yep. We have a reputation to uphold and the way in which it was like, but you know what? There is another way I could have handled it and I could have been rude, but it wouldn't have gotten me any more invites someplace,
Yeah.
I felt like there was a part of me. Can I be so cruel? I'm not going to say it. I'll say it. You know what? If you ask me in public, I will tell you. I would like to say, if you ask me privately, I will tell you what I was going to say. Because then it would have been embarrassing to him, and he would have had to eat it. Then he would have absolutely capitulated if I had done what I really wanted to do when he done it, because I actually had a set plan that if somebody ever did this again, I was going to say something that would put them in a bad light right there, that people would be like, and then I was saying to myself, no, don't do that. That's not fair. And I knew it just was. I have that planned, that particular thing. I'm going to leave that for people. I have a list of people I would do this tactic on, and they are Bob Duff, Chris Murphy. Those two definitely. I would do that. Oh, and Lamont. I would definitely do it on Lamont. But I just couldn't do it today. Let me tell you what this whole thing was about that we went to today, or I went to today. The Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, they put out a press release that they have a new mobile forensic lab that is bringing the advanced technology to local police departments, which is a major step for them in modern policing. And one of the speakers there, who you'll hear, with the exception of Lieutenant Governor Susan Bicewicz, who was also present, DESPP Commissioner Ronald Higgins was there, and he and I had an exchange about this forensic lab. So what's the forensic lab for? It's to travel around the state to help police officers get ballistics and forensics in real time, quick, fast, and in a hurry. It also assists in federal issues, as it did in the case with Brown University in that shooting. And they are very proud of this mobile unit, which makes sense, right? But I had a couple of questions about this, and that is, why have a mobile unit traveling all around the state? And again, here's the thing. I hate to do this, so forgive me. I got to do it, though, because even though I hate to, I got to do my job. Okay. I was given this information last night that the presser was happening this afternoon. I didn't get this bulletin in my hands until I arrived. The press conference began 10 minutes after I arrived. No one who knew about this far more or far sooner than I did had a question. Not even a probative one. It was myself and I think the Connecticut Mirror, which for some odd reason only asks financial questions when they show up at these events. I'm not sure why, but they do. So here was my exchange, looking for somebody to ask me answer for me a 3-part, which turned into a 4-part question about this roving forensic lab. And here was my exchange with the person who decided to step up, and I give it to him, Commissioner Ronald Higgins, in that exchange. Here it is. I thought that, did I move that? Okay, here we go. Let me start here. I believe that's where I should begin. Let's go there.
Anyone who can answer this 3-part question. One, Critics might call this gimmicky. How is it not? Second part, do we not have the budget to just have this technology at all the police departments instead of a mobile unit? And third, what if multiple jurisdictions need the forensic van? Will they have to wait in line?
Great questions. I was there for 5 minutes during the press conference, and I had a 3-part question, which turned into a 4-part question. It's a mobile forensic unit for the entire state. Why are they spending the money on this when they can actually give that forensic ability to every one of the police departments? And, of course, which led into the other 2 questions. I figured that stuff out on the spot. Is this a gimmick? Because it seems gimmicky. It's a forensic lab. All right, whatever. A roving forensic lab? All right, whatever. It'd be different if it was like doing like a roving mammogram or roving colonoscopy, because people won't go to the hospital. This seemed gimmicky. Okay, so here he is, Commissioner Higgins, answering all 3 and in part 4 of my questions.
Anybody?
Sure. So, admittingly, as you described, a 3-part question. I'll deal with the first. Is this gimmicky? I believe that was what you asked. Absolutely not. Often when you think about how we progress in this field, you think about what's next. How can we get the latest technology in the hands of investigators in the field? Anytime we can reduce the time between a crime that's been committed, a serious crime that's been committed, and information that can be placed in the hands of detectives so they can take the next steps is a win. So clearly there will be some prioritization as to when the van goes out and where it goes, but I have to share with you, it is not a gimmick. This is real. When young people, and I shared this with some of the scientists in the back, when young people watch television, they think of CSI, okay? These folks here that are doing this work, they're superheroes. They're unbiased and they're doing the work that helps detectives solve cases and bring closure to families. Second part of that question was why other police departments, why each police department doesn't have it.
Have the technology.
First off, the crime lab is centralized. Again, the people that are performing this work, they are experts. They are well studied and well regarded in their field. Not every police department has that, but the state of Connecticut centralizes that resource, enabling police departments in the entire state to take advantage of the services that we provide. To the extent that we can provide those services in the community is a game changer. This is us getting out of the building, getting into the field, into the communities, serving our public.
Third question?
In the third part, I'm not that good. What was the third question?
Third question was, if multiple jurisdictions need the forensic van, will they have to wait in line? And I guess I can say a fourth part, will that delay investigations if there's a long line?
Well, I think what you're asking, there's multiple calls on the lab on any given day. So it doesn't change anything. Again, they'll have to prioritize, but I'm not overly concerned about that.
So in essence, he was ceding, right? He had conceded that, yes, that's clearly going to happen, but he doesn't see that being an issue. I do, because eventually there are going to be a lot of jurisdictions who can't solve crimes or don't have the resources to. By the way, everything that's in there is like roughly $1 million. Like it's $1 million worth of equipment that's in that thing. So obviously there's a budget issue there. But that was how he responded to it. And he doesn't see it as an issue? Okay, maybe he will. I don't think he really answered any questions, but, I gave him the opportunity. But you see, I did not argue. I wasn't back and forth with him. I wasn't even harsh. Did you see any of that exchange as me being some sort of hostile reporter? Did you get that impression? No, absolutely not.
Thank you for the question.
And Commissioner, if I could just add, we are lucky in that we are a small state, and this forensic lab is in Meriden. So our local police departments are used to having the lab available and being in generally close proximity to most of the departments. And this is just an added benefit. The other thing I would say is that our FBI partners also have the benefit of using the lab and this van if necessary. It's just an additional tool that'll be available.
Okay, and there you have it. They responded. I thought it was a good question. I mean, you can tell me otherwise. I get it. To me, I just thought it was a good question. No one else had any, not any, I don't know, importance. Everybody else was talking about money, how much it costs, how much you're paying the staffers inside. I should have asked whether or not the forensic lab works 24/7, but I doubt that. I'm sure it works on an hourly. But there you have it. And I want to thank the folks who sent the press conference to me. City Hall Adam, who got me the info on the press conference. So I went there. I was in New Britain. As I told you, when these events happen, I'm on the ground. I am there to cover these things because I see them important, see them as important. Or if some of the public figures who are going to be there, I need to get at them so that I can have a conversation to see if they'll either come on the show or at least have an interview with me, an impromptu one right there. It looks like I'm just going to have the interview with them physically when I'm there because they appear to be very reluctant, apprehensive to come on the program. So that's the way it is. When we come back, a tax on the poor to pay for school lunches. An interesting duality. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Hey, we are back. Thank you so much, Lori, for asking about Roseanne and all of you who have sent her prayers. It has been a rough 48 hours for her, and I hate to have to tell you this, Roland, but she slept on the couch yesterday. And I should have slept on the couch. And it shows exactly why Roseanne is better than me. She says that I'm the nice one. She's clearly the better person. So she couldn't sleep last night, and she's tossing and turning. She'll sleep and then starts a coughing fit, which will wake her up, and then she'll fall back to sleep. So imagine that back and forth. So you're so exhausted. Once you're done with the coughing fit, you go right back to sleep, only to be awoken by another coughing fit. And it was bad. So me trying to sleep through it, and I did not complain. I don't want anybody to think that I was a horrible person going, will you shut up? No, it wasn't like that at all. But she said that every time she would toss or turn, that she noticed that I would toss and turn as well. And she felt so guilty that she didn't want to disturb me. So she got up and she slept on the couch in the living room. So I wake up, which, by the way, this is a weird thing. I should see someone about this. I have abandonment issues. I didn't know that. It's weird. I would love to know if there's anybody else who's like this. So if Roseanne is not in the bed when I wake up, I freak out. I don't even know what that's about. I think it's abandonment issues. Anyway, so she's not there, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I look up, and she's on the couch, and then I go to her, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I'm thinking, what, are you mad at me? Like, what? She goes, no. Every time I coughed or I shuffled, you would shuffle, and I felt bad, and I just slept in the living room so that I wouldn't disturb you, and I'm feeling awful. And then, of course, after I get up, I go to the gym, and I go work out, and I come in, and she's sleeping back in the bed, and she's sprawled out and completely knocked out like nothing. She is so exhausted. Roseanne wakes up at the blink of a light in the bedroom. Like if she put tape on the outlets because they give off that green or red light, she can't sleep with any light going on in the room. We have blackout curtains in our bedroom so that even the sunlight does not come in. The room has to be pitch black. I walk in from the gym. I'm turning on lights, everything. Nothing out of her. She is comatose. And I'm looking at her just going, goodness gracious. It's like, how horrible is this? And it is. It's bad. So she's better today than she was yesterday. But she was so bad yesterday that today is still bad. So for those of you who are asking, she's getting there. It's a day-by-day thing. I truly believe that the reason why this happened was because we had that one warm day. And she got a little reckless because the day after we had 70 degrees, I think it was, the next day we were here at the studio and it was 39 degrees and she didn't have a coat on. And she said, I think I can deal with these New England, cold snaps. 39 doesn't feel bad. Yeah, it feels bad now because she is a mess. And I have done everything I can. And she tells me I got to stay away from her because she thinks that she's going to get me sick. And, of course, no sooner than she said it, I got the sniffles. So now I have to stay away from her. So I tried doing the whole thing like rubbing her back to see if she'll go to sleep, but it doesn't matter because her coughing fit will start and then she's back up again, and it's a nightmare. Lori says, my daughter swears by NyQuil. Has alcohol in it. Can't do it. I thought about it, too. I wish that I could give her NyQuil or Dayquil or any one of those quills. But no, she won't. Everything that's out there is alcohol. She took Mucinex. She actually sort of finally gave in to that, and Bear aspirin. Both things she wouldn't even think about touching. She used, and I don't know if it helped very much, but she's got her voice back. That I'm happy about. She can actually speak, because the day before yesterday she could barely do that. It was like she was like that, so it was pretty bad. So we're praying for her, and hopefully she'll be up and at 'em by Friday. Hot apple cider, Boris says. Yes, good point. It's funny that she didn't ask for that because she really does like apple cider. I will take her some home, Boris. Thank you for that. I will. That's what I'll do. I'll surprise her with some apple cider. She'll like that. Hopefully. Well, maybe stop. I can't get it from Aldi's, I don't think. That's a weird place. Not in a bad way. It's just weird what they have and what they don't have. There's obscure stuff versus the regular stuff they have. So, do you ever shop there, Roland? Aldi? You know? Okay, your wife does. Interesting. Does she like it there? She obviously does if she goes. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people swear by that place. I thought, what is the only reason why I really like it? They've got those sort of non-grocery type things. Like you go there and get like a small humidifier about this big. It's like a handheld humidifier. And then next to that, they'll have sweatbands. It's like going to a mini Costco. It's weird. Oh, man, top of the hour. Let's get to John Silver in the WTIC newsroom.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Hey, we'll get into a little bit of news, but at the top of the hour, John Silva, CBS News, our affiliate, played the Japanese comment by Donald Trump. I gotta play it again because I planned to do it on national news in the 4 o'clock hour. But let's just play it. You have to be an idiot reporter to ask this question, like to not understand the history of your question to Donald Trump. And it's Donald Trump. When you guys keep thinking he's lost the step, he shows that news reporters clearly don't get the irony there. So the question to President Trump was, how did you not share the details of what was going on with what you were going to do in Iran with Japan? Why would you not tell Japan about the surprise attack? So Donald Trump, being the comedian he is, seized on it. And he said the obvious.
Went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? Yeah. He's asking me, do you believe in surprise? I think much more so than us.
Like you can see it in his face. Who is this idiot? Just like, do you not understand that's a T-ball? That's a T-ball to Donald Trump. Do you understand that? It's a freaking layup. I can't believe someone asked that. While the Japanese prime minister is there. And, of course, the whole room erupts because they realize how ridiculous of a question it was. Anyway, so it goes. WFSB reported today that poor people cannot be taxed through their wages. Well, they can't. They can't. Let's just call it what it is. Poor people cannot pay taxes. They don't make enough money. So the way that you tax them is you tax them where you hit them where they can be taxed. It's sugary drinks. Everybody knows that. It's a tax on the poor. Anyone who can afford it and who will afford it, because I'm about to say something bad, I don't want to, they will not buy sugary drinks. That is a mainstay in a lot of low-income homes. It just is, folks. It just is. And the crazy part is, I don't know if I'm too much against this. Somebody should pay for the free lunch program we talked about yesterday. I know people think just like, well, that's messed up. You're going to tax the poor. Well, no offense. Somebody's got to pay for it. Why does it always have to be you? Huh? If you don't buy the sugary drinks, right, you won't. You won't buy them. But those people who do, yes, they are now paying for the free lunch program. Here's WFSB.
And you may soon be paying more for that can of soda. Lawmakers are once again considering a tax on sugary drinks. This time, they're talking about using the money to pay for school meals.
Your chief political reporter, Susan Raff, live at a grocery store right now in Granby. Not doing a little shopping. She's reporting for us, Susan. People don't all love this idea, right?
No shopping, just price comparison and getting an idea of what this tax would really mean. The tax really would apply to all sugary drinks, and most of that soda, but there are plenty of others. And it would not just be plain old sugar, it would also apply to things with artificial sweeteners. And this tax could really add up, especially if you buy something like a 12-pack. Grocery stores have lots of choices when you're looking for something to drink. This entire aisle is filled with every kind of soda. There are also energy drinks and coffee beverages. They all have something in common. They all contain some form of sweetener, whether it's natural or artificial. We already pay a sales tax and a 10-cent deposit. Now there could be another fee, a sugary beverage tax, which would be an additional 2 cents for every ounce. Bob Rybeck from Geisler's Supermarkets says even if the tax is for something good, it's still hard to swallow.
It seems to be a recurring issue every single year, and I think the intent of this, to fund school lunch, is admirable, but there's other ways to go about it. And
yeah, sure, there are other ways to go about it. And in his view, tax the wealthy. Nah. I think somebody's got to have some skin in the game. I'm just sorry. Just call me foul, call me mean and unjust, but unless somebody can tell me otherwise. Somebody's got to tell me otherwise. I don't see any issue with it. Let's make sure that it's getting paid for. And if these folks really, really, really care about feeding their kids and they can't do it on their own, they can do it by paying 2 cents on every ounce. Wow. That tax can go up to as high as $2.88 on like a multi-pack beverage. So it's $2.88 on top of the deposit, on top of the sales tax. There is something that can happen, right? People can say, I'm not going to spend the extra money on those things, and they're getting healthier. They could drink water, right? Drink water. There's no sugar, no added sugar. You're fine. Lori says, I'm sick of the government in my life, and I don't buy soda. They're always trying to find the next thing to tax. How about look at where the money is going and try needing less? That's true. They're never going to take themselves off the teat of the American taxpayer, for that matter. So, and if you find those sugary things gone up, we told you so. Let me see, an article by Isabel Mercales on the Connecticut Public news site reports on a proposal statewide that's under review by the Police Officers Standard and Training, which is called Post Council. It would create a uniform expectation for police departments. Instead of arresting kids suspected of low-level misdemeanors, especially first and second-time offenders, officers should refer them to a youth diversion team or juvenile review board for community-based restorative programs. The goal is accountability through repair. In other words, counseling, community service, restitution, and mentoring, rather than court involvement or punishment. Completion of the plan avoids any juvenile record or court appearance. The policy is not a strict mandate. Police retain discretion, especially for repeat offenders or more serious cases. But it standardized practices across Connecticut towns where diversion access currently varies. It also requires officers to log referrals, including youth demographics, reason for diversion versus arrests and outcomes, to track data and reduce the obvious racial disparities. They say that black youth currently face court referrals at a rate 5 times the rate of white youth in similar incidents. Past legislative attempts in 2022 and 2023 failed, so advocates shifted to an enforceable post policy. Stakeholders, with supporters like the Waterbury Police Chief Fernando Spagnolo, Erica Bromley, they praise the clear guidance and focus on real accountability. Critics like Christina Quantara of the Connecticut Justice Alliance say it doesn't go far enough and should be mandatory. We tried to get Christina Quantara on this program. She is yet to respond to us, and that was last year. Here are the standardized points of equity. One statewide rule would end the patchwork local decisions and directly tackles documented racial disparities in who gets arrested versus diverted. So they would have those numbers and then scream, hey, this is racist, this is not, that whole bit. Restorative over punitive. Kids take responsibility by fixing harm, counseling, service, and restitution, instead of gaining a record that follows them to jobs or college. I'm sorry, I had to laugh about the college thing. Anyway. It's not soft on crime. Accountability is required. Successful completion is mandatory. Failure can still lead to arrest. Police can still act on repeats or serious cases. Anyway, what are these low-level crimes that they say would get these restorative justice sort of things, like, community service and things like that? They have a list of them. One would be disorderly conduct, a minor public disturbance like yelling or fighting that doesn't cause serious injury. Breach of peace in the second degree, which includes threats, fighting words, or creating fear without major harm. I want to get back to that in a second. Creating a public disturbance, loud parties, minor crowd issues. And last, larceny in the sixth degree, petty theft, shoplifting under $500. Minor theft, often from stores or peers, would not get you an arrest and would get you this sort of restorative, those are the things they consider low level, that they would have to be, decided on whether or not you get prison time or if you can go into one of these restorative justice kind of deals. Now, the reason why I wanted to say, hold on to the, I missed simple trespass, entering property without permission, often school or neighbor disputes. Okay, that's also important. But I want to go back to this what was the darn thing? Sorry, where was it? Fighting words. Yes, I'm sorry. Breach of peace in the second degree. Threats, fighting words, or creating fear without major harm. Now, there is a case. I don't know if you folks are familiar with it. With the N-word here in Connecticut. You guys know the story. You brought it to my attention. Where a man had used the N-word, and a judge said that he deserved prison time because using the N-word is, as they put it, a fighting word. But yet here, if a young person uses fighting words, they want to give him a punishment that isn't jail time. Can't be talking out both sides of your mouth there, buddy. You can't do it. But it's still a proposal. We'll see what happens. Simple trespass is entering a property without permission. For the purpose of what? We would call that, where I come from, Earth, an attempted robbery. Like, what would you be entering for? To take a tour? What would these juveniles be doing? Larceny in the 6th degree, petty theft, shoplifting under $500. Minor theft, often from stores or peers. They don't believe that that should be punished, where people should go to jail. I believe that they want to turn this into, I don't want to say the purge, but let's just say something very similar to. And the fact that they're making it racial, if black kids are getting arrested 5 times more than white kids, why don't we just address that problem? Because I'm willing to answer that. I'm willing to talk about it. But then again, you guys know me. You know what I'm going to say. No. The white kids got morals. No, I'm kidding. No, the bottom line is that, look, this may be tough for a lot of people on the left to hear, especially, the denialist black activists. It is a rite of passage for young black men to commit these crimes. They consider it culturally appropriate to behave in this way, to commit crimes, to be disorderly, to be loud, obnoxious, to mob, to fight. They believe that these things are indicative of who they are as young black people. This is what they call keeping it real and or authentic. This is not a fabric of other kids' lives. You are never going to catch a group of Indian kids in their community doing this at the levels of which you will see it in black communities. You just have to accept that. And if you were to talk to any of these kids, because half of you people who defend them are afraid to even communicate with them, if you had the guts to talk to them, they would tell you that that's just what they do. It's how they have fun. They don't see the consequences in that. In fact, they think you're a square for not understanding that that's how they express themselves. That being uncivilized is the norm. So, they don't want to punish it. They want to find other ways and, whatever. We'll see what happens. Sparky says, why should there be a tax on soda to feed school kids? Aren't we taxed enough in Connecticut? Yeah, but you know what, Sparky? Look how you're going to respond to a tax on sugary drinks. You will more likely restrain yourself and go, yeah, you know what? I'm not spending that much extra money on this anymore. And you'll go to something else. You'll find a way not to be taxed on that. You'll drink water or whatever. Do what I do, buy a soda stream. I do that. Do you have one of those, Roland? You need to get one. Do you like, you don't drink soda, you don't drink carbonated anything? I'm telling you, when we got that soda stream, changed my life, man.
Yeah, I don't drink any of that stuff, man.
Changed my life.
Cranberry juice, apple juice, orange juice, water.
Really?
And when I want to drink something different than that, it's always Gatorade.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's all I drink.
Cranberry juice. You must be awfully regular.
Yeah, I drink cranberry juice. Tastes good, man.
It's really good for you. I used to be. In fact, we have. Well, I don't drink that one because the one that whatever it is Roseanne got us in the refrigerator now, it's unsweetened, and it tastes like bark. It's just an awful taste. But I will take I'll fill up my soda stream and do my whole soda stream, and then I will pour that cranberry juice into the soda stream. Mm-hmm. It's got a great taste. That much I'll do. I enjoy that. Yeah, good for your kidneys. That's right. Is the term diuretic? I think that's correct, Lori. Let me see. I'm late to the show, but does SNAP also pay the deposit? Yeah, it sounds like a Ponzi scheme too. I'm with you, JCT. That's a good point. I will look into that. I will definitely look into that. Yeah. Our guest is showing up in a little bit. In fact, I think he just sent me a text. Let me just make sure. David Haberfeld is coming in at 4 o'clock. He's going to talk to us about this landlord, revised landlord ability to evict. And they're calling it a no-fault eviction legislation. We'll talk to him about that when he gets here at 4 o'clock. Plus, we'll read most of your text messages. If you want to do that, go to reeseontheradio.com. Again, that's REESE ontheradio.com. You can go on X. You can go on YouTube. You can go on Facebook if you wish to opine during the show. And hello, Wendy. Vicks on the feet and put socks on. I did that once, and I'll never do it again. That sensation on my feet is the weirdest thing ever. And Vicks is a very, very powerful vapor rub. But to put it on my feet, you know what? I'll tell you this. You know what's the weirdest feeling? Feet sweat. That's what Vicks does. It gives this feeling. And putting socks on top of it, I can't deal with that much heat. I can't. It's uncomfortable. But it's a really, really good idea. It is a good idea. For those people who can handle it, I just can't. When we come back, we'll get to the phones, and then we'll also talk about this. Sorry, it wasn't that one. What the heck? Oh, firing Gen Z. Find out why young people are being fired faster than people who are already working at the job. We've got that story coming up as well as your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
I want to thank everybody for all of the great advice here. This one comes from James F. He says, Reese, tell your wife to pick up a package of Sleepy Time tea and a package of a throat coat tea. Also, add some thyme spice to both teas and drink them. It will help out a lot. Matteo says, I'll get to Matteo in a second. Dean of the Eanes says, Reese, remind Roseanne about Immunicol. 100% natural. Please tell her we hope that she feels better. Thank you, Eanes. We appreciate that as well. Lori says, feet sweat actually makes you chilly. That's why when I was involved in the Girl Scouts with my oldest daughter, on camping trips, the girls, we told the most important piece of clothing was a dry pair of shoes for the night. Couldn't agree more. Matteo says, if the tax on sugary drinks can pay for the food lunch program, doesn't that mean we would not need the program if we didn't waste money on garbage food and drinks? I guess in a way you could look at it that way. Makes sense. To the phones we go. 860-522-WTIC. Jim's in Wellington. Hello, Jim.
Oh, you got to help me. That tax is on every taxpayer, right?
Yes. Anyone who buys the soda, that is. Yes.
Okay, so why stop at soda? Why not? What about bread? What about pastry?
Right.
What about juices?
Right. You don't even have to. You be anything that has sugar in it. Put a tax on it.
Quite a bit of alcohol has sugar in it.
Oh, great deal. In fact, when I quit drinking, all I ate was candy for the sugar rush.
I forgot who mentioned something about cranberry juice. Well, you know what? unless you drink the organic or the unsweetened, you got sugar in that too.
That's right.
Added sugars, corn fruit syrup. I mean, on and on. And let me ask you another question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you confident all that money is going to go towards the program it's intended to go for, like the lottery money did?
Good question.
Okay, and how about that? I forgot how much it was, but the tobacco settlement, which I believe was a substantial amount of money. Where'd all that money go?
Couldn't you know? Now you're only getting me to start pulling in my investigative talents into all of this now. It's a good point.
We can go on. All the money that's supposed to go to the transportation fund.
Yeah.
Does it all still go there?
Yeah, of course it doesn't, because such a good point. Because the one thing we found out, Jim, is that there barely is a transportation industry in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you very much. And then, of course, one other thing. I believe the number's gone up, but I'll use the old number. 27.3% of every time this state collects goes to what again? I think it's debt.
That's right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So what portion of that sugar tax money is going to go towards the debt? We can go on and on. We can go on and on.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
I'll tell you, it gets to the point where if I don't call you every day, I'm more confused every day if I don't call somebody to explain something that I already know is true. But I need somebody else to tell me.
Listen to me. It is like living in bizarro world. You just want to make sure that everybody outside of your own world.
My friend, I'll end with that bizarro world. That's it in a nutshell. If somebody tells you they know the truth and they don't believe in your politics or your right to have a choice,
yeah,
then everything they tell you is something they're doing, but they're blaming you for.
Damn right. Exactly. Thank you, Jim. You got it, sir. Bob is in Waterbury. How are you, sir?
Hi, Reese. How you doing today?
I'm all right, sir. What do you got?
Good luck to your wife. I hope she gets better.
Thank you, sir.
I wonder if any listeners out there know of any tax in any state that Connecticut doesn't have. We have every tax there is. Some states don't have income tax. Some states have car tax where you buy a car, you pay the tax. You pay it every single year. I mean, it's incredible. I think our guys just walk around the Capitol saying, what can we tax next?
You know what? I'm almost nervous, Bob, to say this. But do you remember a couple of years back, I want to say 2012, 2013, where the state of Maryland proposed a rainwater tax?
I wouldn't doubt it.
No, it was a real thing. It was you as a homeowner. They wanted to propose. It was the reason why the lieutenant governor who was running for election, the reason why he lost was because the state had proposed a rain tax where if you owned a home, you were being taxed on the rainwater going through your drainage system.
Right, it goes into the sewers. That should be in Connecticut. That's right up our alley.
I know, because I feel like I might be jinxing it by telling them.
And one more thing, a couple of days ago when you were talking about the kids that weren't passing school.
Oh, yeah, yes.
In Chicago and everything.
Yeah.
Back to the teachers. What's up with that 10-year thing? How come you can't fire teachers? Maybe that's how come the kids aren't passing.
That's exactly. You know what, Bob?
What job can you not get fired from?
Well, obviously that one, but you're 100% right on that point.
That's an important job too. You know?
You're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Beautiful point that he's making, that Bob's making here. And I said this. I told this story a dozen times. I'll say it again. I'm at Occupy Wall Street, right? And the Ontario, Canada guy hung up. Are you kidding me? Oh, he's from Norwalk? Okay. He had an Ontario, Canada number. Anyway, Occupy Wall Street, Zuccotti Park, downtown Manhattan. And, we're having this discussion with all of these leftists and these, anarchists. And I start talking about, I don't know why, but it just, the conversation just sort of got into teachers. And one of the kids there was like, oh, now you're attacking teachers. And he was a young, middle-class, well-to-do white kid, right? Obviously screaming socialism, as they do. I'm sorry, but that's just what par for the course. He was like every other leftist that you can imagine. But anyway, he started saying, now you're talking about teachers. And I looked at him and I just went, okay, obviously you don't understand this, but you know what? I'm going to just try a weird experiment. Now, again, I'm surrounded. And we're talking at least 5 to 6 deep, surrounded in my conversations. I'm going toe-to-toe with anyone who will step in the arena. Now, I don't know if you guys understand what rap ciphers look like, but it's usually a crowd of people are around you, creating a circle or a semicircle, if you will, and they will listen to you rap battle back and forth. Well, that's what this was. It was Zuccotti Park, yours truly, in a debate with anyone who would come at me talking about socialism versus capitalism, left versus right. So all of these people are coming up to me. And this one guy was talking about, now you're attacking teachers. Teachers do a thankless job. They do this and do that. And, of course, I'm looking around the crowd, and I know that the minute that I set this up, he's going to be destroyed because he doesn't even know it's coming. Why? Because he's ignorant to this. And so I look around, and I can clearly see that everyone else in this crowd that they've dragged into this conversation are black and Hispanic, and there's a substantial amount of them there because I'm the only black person there defending conservatism. And I am, in essence, drawing all the fire. But I stood there, unafraid, talking to them. And there it was. Oh, you don't think that teachers should be attacked? Fine. I want everyone in this crowd to raise your hand if you've ever heard or know someone who has heard a teacher say, it doesn't matter whether or not you pass or fail, I still get paid. And if they didn't say that exactly, you heard some form of that sentence. Well, every black and Hispanic kid raised their hand. And some of them said, yeah, man, he ain't lying. They say that all the time. I'd outnumbered them with that one gesture. And every one of those kids and every one of those socialists didn't know what to do. I knew it, as did all of them. And that was how I won the crowd in that debate. Instantaneously. They knew it. And they were like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. That's absolutely true. And I said, you don't think that we should attack education when that's the way that they approach it with all of these kids who you think are underprivileged? That they would tell those students that these students have experienced or know somebody who's experienced that exact line? They had nothing to say. I mean, it destroyed the whole debate. So, yeah, don't think I don't know. You can't fire these teachers. And when you have that kind of backing, when you have that kind of backing by the teachers union or by the bureaucracy that will protect you, no matter what, that, teachers end up in a rubber room for whatever the case it may be and get paid the entire time, that the union will fight for you to get your pension, even if you're fired for abuse, that they will fight to get your pension. There's a reason for all of that it needs to be checked. But, I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's take a break. We'll be back. More news and more views when we return. Actually, yeah, we still got at least a couple of minutes. I have an article from 2022 that I'm going to share with you later on in the program in the 5 o'clock hour that proves that we cannot use DQuat in the water. And the study comes from a place that no one looked. But I found it, and I want to thank Jeff Cordisco to getting it to me because I researched the paper, and it's 100% true. Just like the, the windmills that they want to put everywhere, DQuat will kill the bald eagle. I'll explain that to you in the 5 o'clock hour, so stand by for that. All right, and plenty of other news on the national level also when we return, plus your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Don't forget that 5 o'clock hour, we're going to have this story about DQuat. It's from a 2022 article where it cites the actual proof that the DQuat dibromide is actually dangerous to bald eagles and other birds and other animals as well. So we'll break all that down in a bit. I have already forwarded it to Senator Blumenthal, and I forwarded it to Greg Bugbee just so they have it, and there's no excuse for them not to have read it. So I forwarded it to both of their cell phones. So I'm waiting for an answer from both of them. And if we don't, we'll keep pressing them until they do as well. Also coming up, we've got plenty of news. Did China try to hack the 2020 and the 2024 election? Apparently there is evidence of that. Intercepts. We'll go to John Solomon for that story. The billionaire tax out of California, even MS Now is admitting it's not going to fly. Kathy Hochul is now screaming uncle after she told rich folks to get the hell out of her town. That's coming back to bite her. We'll talk about that as well. And a story that blows my mind, Lindell TV. I need to find out where this show is or where this network is. I think it's probably only online. One of you folks will tell me it's probably just on Rumble. Well, Lindell TV had Cara Castanova go to D.C. to talk to African Americans about voter ID. As you would expect, they are all for it. But you don't want to miss this report because it was funny as hell. Also, this one's my favorite, and this one's just for the left. What is more dangerous? Again, what is more dangerous? A MAGA supporter or a man running down the street screaming Allahu Akbar? Just in case you missed it, what is more dangerous? Is it a man in a MAGA hat or a person running through the street screaming Allahu Akbar? The results will amaze you. I have that on tap with an audio soundbite to boot. So stand by. It's just it's great audio, and it makes me laugh. Oh, also before we leave, you guys listen to this show, and I know that some of you tell me all the time, and thank you for that you trust this program. A couple of days ago, we got word that Joe Kent was resigning from the Trump administration. It was I who told you before it became public knowledge that he was a leaker. He had been sort of boxed out of any decision that the administration was making because they had realized that he was leaking. And then last night on the Ingraham angle, this report happened. Wrong place. There we go.
Sources are saying that Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterror Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information, and the investigation predates his departure. Okay.
You see my point? With all the screaming and hollering, what do I tell you to do? Relax. Something's going to come out of it, right? Especially when you hear this fever-pitched response to it. Joe Kent resigned. What does it mean? He's betrayed the Trump administration. Oh, my goodness. Listen to him. He just said that we didn't have a right to go into Iran. And what do you expect? And again, I don't know. I do not hate being right. I'm not one of those people. I'm telling you, I'm trying to break my arm, pat myself on the back. It feels so good. Let's get a first check of traffic and weather for the show. Our good friend Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. He doesn't get it wrong either. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Oh. Now, of course, I screwed this up to the point where I wasn't ready with my camera. There we go. Okay, we're ready. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to turn that off, and my volume is way up because it is ringing in my ear. It's Reese on the radio. We are back. Our guest has arrived. We are going to talk to him about Connecticut's no-fault eviction, which is Senate Bill 257 or SB 257, titled An Act Concerning Evictions for Cause. That's the name of the bill. We'll talk to David Haberfeld. I'm saying your name right, am I? Okay, good. All right. David Haberfeld is here. He is, can we say that you're a landlord, or can we say you're just a property owner?
You can say landlord.
Okay, all right. Property owner. Okay. Do you own several properties?
Yeah, about 35.
What? Okay, you're perfect for this then. Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, David's here. We're going to get to the bottom of all of this so we can have an understanding, so you can have an understanding, being tenant or property owner, on what exactly is going on with this bill. And we were talking behind the scenes about this, and this is going to be a very important and riveting conversation. So stand by for that. We are going to get into it. He's going to tell us every aspect of this and how it affects him as well. And I think, David, if I can you talk to us a little bit about the housing bill that, that passed, where they're going to be moving sort of, apartment buildings and other places like that? Is that related to you in any way? The housing bill that passed that sort of pretty much takes the power away from neighborhoods, and they can build high rises or apartment buildings. And do you know anything about that bill?
Whereas local zoning can't overrule the state zoning. If state wants to put projects into Avon, now they can.
Now they can. Okay, so you know a little bit about that? Okay, good. We'll try to, because you're a property owner, so you would know about this kind of stuff. So we want to pick your brain, I guess would be the best way to put it. So David is here. We'll get to him in due course, so stand by for that. It's going to be a riveting interview. I'm very interested in this, so you should be too. So let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher is here. He is at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we are back and we are live. Let me do this real quick. And I have someone else's information on this screen. I got so caught up in talking to you, I didn't change the name on the screen. But with us live is David Haberfeld. I want to make sure I got your name right. Thank you for joining us on the program today. You probably want to move up to your mic because Roland is really, really a stickler about volume. Okay. He wants to make sure that you're clear. So you are a real estate owner here in the state of Connecticut.
I am.
And you have a considerable amount of properties. Can we say how much? Do you mind saying how much?
I don't mind. It's like about 35 properties.
Okay, about 35 properties. They are everything from multi-unit to single family.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Does it matter that the level of which multifamily versus single family, does it matter in this space when you own property like that? Or, like, in essence, as a person who rents or leases these properties, what's the most, I would say, beneficial to a guy like you, the multi-unit or the single family?
The general rule is the more units, the better. So it's better to have a two-family for rentals than a single family. Better to have 3 than 2. Better to have 4 than 3.
Right. Okay. And you started in this, as we were talking behind the scenes, 20 years ago. You're in your 40s now, which would put you relatively young in this space. What, roughly about 27?
Yeah, I bought my first house at 27.
Your first house at 27, and you said you peaked, as you put it. I think you just expanded, but you were doing extremely well, roughly at about 2019, even though in 2006 you suffered a crash in 2008, as many did.
Yeah, I did. So in 2019, when I had the most, when I say peaked, I had 57 properties and 139 apartments.
Wow. 139 apartments?
Yeah.
Goodness. In 2019?
2019.
That would put you...
You
were 40.
Yeah, I started selling a little bit too early, but you can't know.
Yeah, of course you can. It fluctuates for so many reasons. Politics change, taxes, all that stuff changes. Wow, that's an incredible amount of property. Would you consider yourself, as a private owner of properties, would you consider yourself playing with the big boys?
There are guys that are much bigger out there. I would say, I'm at least mid-size.
Okay.
On the larger side of mid-size, but there's guys out there with thousands of units. So.
Are you a one-man band or you got a team of people?
I'm a one-man person, but I have 2.5 ladies in the office, the half being a part-time office manager.
Okay.
So I have a small team.
Okay. Do you not need a bigger team to do this because the units now are just, what did you say, 30-something?
Yeah, so I have 35 properties or something.
Right.
And so it's probably about 50 doors, 50 units total.
Okay. So you can manage that with a smaller team.
Yeah, honestly, we have more capacity. My people are just so good that I don't want to lay any of them off or cut their hours. So we're a little slow in the office, but I'll find something for them to do.
Okay. That's good. That's great. Is it anywhere in Connecticut? Are you in all, it just, no matter where the property is, as far as you're concerned, if it's a good buy, you'll buy it?
Yeah. So I used to focus only in Bristol when it was a really easy time for me. But as things get more difficult, you have to be willing to travel farther to find a deal. So I'll go anywhere in Connecticut and outside of Connecticut.
Right. Oh, outside. Do you have anything outside now?
Yeah, I got one in New York, one in South Carolina, one in North Carolina, and I have a condo in Manta, Ecuador.
Okay. Where in New York?
Upstate New York.
Okay, upstate.
Yeah,
Can
upstate.
you say the town?
You know, it's like Westchester or something.
Okay, so
yeah,
probably
like,
Westchester County kind of deal.
It's a small, unimpressive single family. But I got one up there.
No, hey, you know, New York is New York. No, that's not true. I'm from New York. That's why I always kid. But Westchester, that's New York adjacent, so to speak. David, you're here because of this Connecticut no-fault eviction ban, which, according to this, says apartment buildings and complexes with 5 or more units, small landlords with 1 to 4 units per exempt, covers tenants who have lived there at least 1 year, expands prior protections that applied only to elderly or disabled tenants. What it bans are landlords cannot evict at the end of a lease or non-renew without just cause. Tenants in good standing gain ongoing security, effectively turning leases into more stable tenancies, as they're putting it here. In essence, saying their view of good standing is this individual is paying their rent on time.
That's correct. They're pretty much just measuring it by that. They're not going to take the time to get to know someone or any of the other reasons you might not want to renew a lease.
Right. You said behind the scenes, which I thought was a great quote, drug dealers pay their rent on time, too.
This is. I actually been calling this online. I call it the drug dealer protection bill.
Is that what you're referring to this?
Yeah, that's what I call it.
So, in essence, you could have a bad egg in one of your properties that could be making the living arrangements for other tenants in that area unsustainable, dangerous, or otherwise. You wish, because of complaints that you may have received from other tenants who may feel for their safety, if you wish to get rid of that person, this law would prevent you from protecting them.
That's correct. I cannot evict them unless I have just cause. And being a drug dealer in Connecticut, they don't get prosecuted very often. If you ever, if some people are like, oh, why don't you just call the police? That doesn't get a drug dealer out.
Right.
I've been doing this for 20 years. I wouldn't call the police on my drug dealer friends. I don't want them mad at me.
Right.
They have to get caught. It takes forever. And I just want to evict them, and I'm going to let them sell drugs, but they can't sell out of my house. They can sell someone else's house.
So in doing that, this makes property owners almost toothless in a lot of ways, if indeed, and again, we're not just talking about drug dealers, but if the individual has other infractions, because in essence, the thing that is protecting them is, hey, they pay their rent on time. No bureaucrat knows the other added sort of problems or issues that tenant may be bringing to the property. They could be bringing police all the time for domestic issues, whatever the case may be, disrupting the neighborhood. You can't use police calls, right? Like you couldn't show up at court and say, look, I think it's great that they're paying for rent on time, but do you know how many police calls that have been to this property because of domestic issues? What if the person damages the property that is inside your home, like walls or windows, mirrors, whatever the case is? You don't have just cause there if they're paying their rent?
It's very hard to prove. I think if you go to a Connecticut court with these guys and say, I want to evict them because they are disrupting their neighbor's enjoyment of the property, or they threatened me, or they're up all night making noise, preventing other tenants from sleeping. That's a very difficult case to prove, and the burden's on me, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty impossible to get people out if they don't want to leave.
Why do you think they're doing this?
They're doing it, I think, I have to believe that they think they're helping tenants, but they're actually really hurting tenants. The people that are in charge of this, the housing chair, Antonio Felipe and Marks, I forgot her first name.
Okay.
I think they probably think they're helping, but they have no real world experience. Antonio Felipe, I've been on a Zoom call with him. He rents a iffy apartment in a iffy neighborhood in Bridgeport. He's never owned anything. He's never been a property owner, never been a landlord, has no experience with this. And he's like, no, tenants should be able to stay because they want to stay. He doesn't understand the ramifications for that.
Do you think that they are helping or trying to help low-income families?
I think that they think they are.
Okay.
I think that they think they are. Very misguided. They don't know how to help low-income families.
Because I don't know, because you've experienced this more than I am, so I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm just going to use sort of like an educated guess in this. A lot of folks or bureaucrats think that the only people who struggle in these situations with evictions are poor people who struggle to live in, these domiciles. Like in essence, they think that they are targeting an issue, but not understanding the widespread ramifications. In essence, they're sort of trying to use a scalpel. Well, they want to use a scalpel, but instead use a machete. You know what I mean? And not understanding that in order to do that sort of scalpel approach to this, you actually have to address this with this scalpel. They think you should just make a law.
They make laws like this. And with one party rule, they're putting through some crazy stuff. I'm sure you've seen.
Oh yeah, I've seen everything. We're going to talk about a little bit of that too.
So they're uneducated people that are uneducated on this topic are just trying to help the poor people as best they think they can. Except landlords we're not dumb. We're not going to take people. We're not taking any chances on anyone these days. It's so hard to get someone out. I mean, if you pull up to my apartment for a showing and maybe your car's too loud, I'm not going to tell you, but maybe I don't rent to you because your car is loud and I'm afraid you're going to disturb the neighbors and I'm afraid that I can never get you out. Anyone that I want to rent to, I am potentially stuck with you forever because of this bill.
Talk to me a little bit about that. Behind the scenes, you had mentioned that during COVID, one of the concerns that landlords had in the state of Connecticut was Governor Ned Lamont pretty much told everyone from the landlord to the and to the tenant that don't worry about the eviction. Just stay where you are and be safe. Tell me a little bit about that, or at least the way we discussed it.
Sure. So, during the virus, one of the press conferences, he was having lots of them. One of them, his quote was, if you're a tenant, don't worry about paying your rent, just stay safe. And landlords, of course, were like, what is wrong with this guy? Why would any leader ever say that? We still have to pay our bills. There's no justification for not paying your rent. Now, if you're like your job is affected by the virus, there was protections for you. But if you can pay your rent. Right. You're going to owe it later. And so a lot of landlords, I don't know how many, but some of us, because we talk, some of us stopped renting our units. And so this was the beginning of the housing crisis. 2020 was the beginning of it.
Right.
And so I, for example, was sitting on a few empty units, and I stopped trying to rent them. People were calling like, hey, do you have any apartments open? I'm like, no, I'm not renting at this time. And they stayed empty, which is, terrible for business, but it's better to have no tenant than a bad tenant. And I was afraid if I make a bad call and someone comes in and chooses not to pay, I'm stuck with them potentially forever. Back then, if you remember, the virus seemed like it was never going to go away.
Never ending.
It was going to be for the rest of forever.
Yeah.
And so after a while, after a few months of this, I'm like, I got to get some income from these places. And so I filled them full of furniture and I put them on Airbnb.
That is an interesting story in and of itself. We will get to that. That's a crazy. It was a business move, but a brilliant one. And the way you explained it to me, I'm literally, my head just went boom, like, wow, that's crazy. But it's a good point. So, and I know that many of your friends or people within this space experienced that during COVID, that there were a lot of people who immediately took advantage of the governor's call to not pay your rent. Did you see that? Was that rampant? What happened?
It was reasonably rampant. So, I know that from memory, I lost about $100,000 in unpaid rent during the virus.
During the entire time, or how much?
During the entire time.
So roughly about a year and a half worth of.
Yeah, so the majority of tenants paid their rent. Most people are good people.
Sure.
If their income wasn't affected, they paid. If their income was affected, smaller landlords of my size and below, we worked with people.
Sure.
We weren't like, and we couldn't evict anyway, so you had to work with people.
Right, exactly.
But I would have worked with them anyway.
Sure.
Especially, my tenants tend to be longer. I tend to know them a little better than the average landlord.
Yeah, it's easy. I guess in your case, it's kind of easier for you to have a somewhat personal relationship with them because it's, not as many.
I have a physical office and the tenants tend to come in and we still accept rent in person like the old days.
Oh man, that's good. That's smart.
It allows you to have face-to-face interaction with them.
Sure.
So.
But you had a lot of tenants, or a lot of people had tenants who, of course,
so some
abused
didn't pay. So if an average month, you have 5% not paying, it was probably like 20%. So it's a huge increase, but it's not the majority. The majority of people paid, and we're fine. But that's going from 5 to 20 is a huge problem. That's you're running in the red.
Yeah.
And normally you'd like, okay, I'm filing eviction, but that they stayed in the red for months and months and months. That eviction moratorium was 18 months or something like that. It was a long time. I actually have a story in the past. I went viral at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of red paint and rice mad?
No.
You ever heard that saying? So I had a tenant that he was in eviction, and the virus came before the eviction was finished.
Wow.
And so this guy lived there for free for about 18 months, and he destroyed my apartment on his way out when I got one of the very first nuisance evictions. So here's another point also. When during the eviction moratorium, at some point, Ned Lamont says, okay, we're going to allow nuisance evictions or evictions for serious nuisance.
Right.
And we were like, finally, we can get rid of some of the really bad ones at least, But he lied to everybody because you couldn't file the paperwork because housing court was closed.
Right, yeah.
So even though he said, okay, you can file an eviction now, you couldn't actually file it because they're closed.
He handicapped you.
The criminal court was open, family court was open, criminal court was open, but he kept housing court closed. So it was completely dishonest to say, now you can have a serious nuisance eviction. So when the court did finally open, I was one of the first in line. Maybe I'm even the first one. I'll never know. On the way out, the guy, he was a painter. Mm-hmm. So he took red paint and he put rice in there and he mixed it together and he splattered it all over the apartment, everywhere. And so he did that because red is the hardest color to paint over.
Right.
And he knew that you can't just paint over when there's rice in it. You have to sand the walls down.
Yeah. Wow.
And so he's trying to make the most work possible. And so that eviction ended up costing me like $40,000. And the reason it went viral was because I made a post about it, and we were Facebook friends, so I tagged him in it so his friends could see. And I put up pictures and I told the story, and it has like millions of views, and it was a cool thing at the time. And I got on the news a bunch of times, and my daughter thinks it's a flex. I'm actually in the Urban Dictionary for that. Red paint and rice mad.
Really?
I am.
That was a great story. That's fantastic. Hey, folks, hang out for a little bit. David Haberfeld is here. He is a private real estate owner, and we're talking to him about the Connecticut no-fault eviction ban proposal. And we'll get a whole lot of other stories and anecdotes out of him today. Fantastic. I'm so glad you're here, David. Let's get another check of traffic and weather with Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we are back. Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. The response, by the way, has been positive. A lot of people say you look like Johnny Damon. They are 100% right. You ever play ball? You ever play baseball?
Never.
No, okay. I thought that would have been weird if you did. David Haberfeld is here. He is a real estate investor, I guess is the appropriate way to put it. And he is explaining to us the new proposal by the state of Connecticut, which is a Connecticut no-fault eviction. And there is a lot to this that's interesting. I read it earlier, and David was telling me behind the scenes that it's supposed to be 5 units or more. You believe that that's eventually going to come down to 4 units, then 3 units, then any unit.
Sure. They started at 5 units, and I'm sure they did that because they thought they would get less pushback from the smaller landlords that own 4 units and below.
Yeah.
But does anyone trust them to not bring it down below 5 units in the future?
Will they have to revise the bill in order to do that? Like they'll get this passed, and then later on
they revise it later.
Somebody else either revise it, or they're going to have to put it up for another vote.
I don't think so. I think that once you have it, you're allowed to make these changes to it. I don't know the way all the capital games work.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, but apparently they don't even care about the Constitution at this point, as you know, in the homeschooling bill and even the Second Amendment bill that they're proposing. So that's interesting. So when we come back, you told me something interesting behind the scenes that Ned Lamont doesn't even know that he's responsible for with a lot of these rules, especially the no-fault evictions. And this all stemmed from the way he dealt with landlords and evictions as they pertain to COVID during that time. So save that for everybody. We're going to get to the bottom of that shortly. While I've got time, let me do the stupidest things I've read today. I think I got time. Stupidest things I read today. Cow gallstones now selling more than gold. Farmers worldwide are suddenly sitting on a bizarre new gold mine, literally. After cow gallstones surged in value and began fetching higher prices per ounce than actual gold on the black market, demand from the traditional medicine markets in China, Hong Kong has driven the frenzy, with the hardened bile deposits prized for supposed healing powers and ancient remedies. Frank in Woodbridge is going to be so angry about that story. Russian man leaves his window open for 3 years. What happened? Well, he came home after being 3 years away to only discover in his apartment it had become a full-scale pigeon sanctuary. That's right. Birds just flew in and started building nests inside of his home. They say cleanup is expected to take weeks. Neighbors are still in disbelief at the sheer scale of the feathered takeover. The man admitted that he simply forgot to close the window before leaving town. And last but not least, glitter lung illness. Once joked about in the satire site The Onion is now hospitalizing real kids. What started as a satirical Onion headline about glitter lung has now become a grim medical reality, with children showing up to emergency rooms after inhaling craft glitter that causes severe respiratory inflammation. Doctors are issuing urgent warnings about the sparkly particles that lodge deep into the young lungs. Cases have spiked through hospitals that are now treating the condition as a legitimate threat, proving once again that reality loves to one-up satire. Parents are being told to rethink even the most innocent craft projects now. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home. He's at the BPS Lawyer Traffic Center. No glitter for you, sir.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We're back. David Haberfeld is here. He is a real estate investor here in the state of Connecticut, hanging out with us, and thank you for doing that on short notice. Michael B. was the one who said, you got to talk to this guy. Absolutely. Michael B., hands down, you get a round of applause, my friend. Because you've been fantastic. The stuff you've been telling me off the camera, and we're trying to get, or off the air, that we're trying to sort of capture. Let me get to some of the root of this no-fault eviction, I guess, prevention that the governor is proposing, or the state is proposing. I had asked you behind the scenes, I wanted to know, how does the marketplace respond to this if they can't evict people? You gave a great sort of analogy, an anecdote that involves Dunkin' Donuts. Explain that to me, and then what you think the market will do.
Sure. So as an example, right, because at the moment it's 5 and above that is affected by these evictions. So what if I own a 5-unit building and I have 5 tenants in there, and they're paying, and they're fine, and our relationship is great, and their leases are running out, and my building's worth $500,000. I'll make the number up. And Dunkin' Donuts comes along and says, hey, we want to build a Dunkin' Donuts where your building is. We'll give you $10 million for it. Will you sell it to us? Except there's no carve-out. I have no ability to evict these tenants. So if I say, hey, tenants, it's time to go, your lease is up, I've honored my part of the agreement, I've honored the contract, I can't get those tenants out if they choose to stay. This bill gives all of the property owner rights to the tenant who owns no property. I can't get them out. Am I forced to turn down Dunkin' Donuts and turn down that deal? And according to this bill, I think I am.
You said something else in sort of in the response of that, is that you don't believe that it's an actual fact. You said it is the only contract. How did you phrase it exactly?
Yes. So this bill made by these guys in the Capitol, this creates, because a lease is a contract, this creates the only contract in America that doesn't end when it ends.
Yeah.
It's the only one. It doesn't make any sense to do it. I don't know why they pick on housing so much, because they're really ruining it.
Speaking of ruining it, you said that what happened, what Governor Ned Lamont inadvertently did during the pandemic caused you and plenty of others to turn their properties into
Airbnbs.
And the Airbnb was, in essence, that contract, in essence, has to be, because it's online, and the person who's staying there for a week, they could be staying there for a year. Nonetheless, it's an Airbnb. That contract That's it. They're done. They're gone. They can't stay there because the business model, and the business model is in an Airbnb, it's like a hotel. They cannot stay there in perpetuity, which, again, they're sort of doing that with your, I guess, landlord-tenant relationship.
So at 30 days, they do establish residency, an Airbnb guest.
Okay.
But it's very rare to have to kick out an Airbnb guest that stays. Like, it's never happened to me. I know it has happened. There are stories.
Yeah.
The reason it doesn't happen is because to get in the first place, you got to pay for the first month.
That's
Airbnbs
right.
are expensive,
That's right.
$3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And scumbags generally don't have the money to get in the first place. So that's why you don't have to kick them out.
No, I like the fact that you refer to them as scumbags because that's what they would be. So you said that the governor inadvertently created Airbnbs in large swaths because during the pandemic, no one wanted to rent to anyone because in essence, he was giving them license to just stay and you had no recourse.
Ned Lamont is responsible for more Airbnbs in the state than probably the Airbnb platform. So inadvertently, of course. So
yeah.
Most people believe, including me at the time, that to have a successful Airbnb, you need tourism. Mm-hmm. And Connecticut, we're a little low on tourism. We have like by the casinos, we have like the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of tourism.
Right.
I'm in Bristol, Connecticut. Bristol has zero tourism.
Right.
But I had to take a chance. I was forced to do something, or I would leave them empty forever. It felt like forever.
How many units did you have to turn into Airbnbs?
So I have 17 of them now. But at the time from Ned, I mean, I turned like 4 of them in. And
wow.
When Ned said to, don't worry about paying your rent, just stay safe.
Yeah.
I filled 4 of them full of furniture.
Was that something that you guys came about accidentally? Like, did you say, like, what am I going to do? And then someone sort of gave you guys the idea? Was it a collective? How did you guys decide this?
So I had an Airbnb at the time already by Mohegan Sun.
Okay. Great place.
Yeah, great place to have one. So I already, I'm familiar with the model. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I just got to take a chance. And I don't even know why people would come to Bristol in an Airbnb, but my odds are better than leaving it empty.
Right.
And my odds and leaving it empty is better than taking a chance on someone who's not going to pay that I may have to keep forever.
So you put one in Bristol, and in your head, you're saying, okay, let's see if we run the risk of opening up this Airbnb. It turns out beneficial, I presume.
It's still an Airbnb because it's actually doing much better
doing well.
than as an apartment.
Can you tell me why it's successful? What's the draw? Are you close to this in Bristol, that to Bristol? Are there shows? Is there something happening in town? What's the usual rent usage for?
So there's nothing more happening in Bristol than any other town.
Right.
We don't have any things that people generally travel
no
for.
Events, so to speak.
And what I learned from the experience is that I have no idea why someone needs to travel somewhere.
Right.
And so as a couple examples, I rented to Bristol Blues baseball players for a summer. Lake Compounce, the amusement park.
Okay.
They hired a 6-man crew out of Philadelphia to rebuild the Boulder Dash roller coaster.
Okay.
And they needed a place to stay. And so it was a construction crew.
Gotcha.
I had Frontier fiber optic cable. They got a contract, a New Jersey crew. They were out here, 6-man crew. They were out here for 6 months. They booked. But then their contract kept extending.
Look at that.
And I ended up renting to them short-term rates for it was 30 months.
Wow.
They signed up for 6, and they were here 30 months on short-term rates. They could have built a long-term,
right.
But Frontier renewed their contract piece by piece, so they didn't know how long they needed. A lot of what you're paying for in an Airbnb is the flexibility.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, that's great. So in essence, as you said, what Lamont did was end up building a model that you guys could benefit from, but you only, and this is sort of the downside, in a lot of ways, you said, not incredible, in an incredible amount of ways, but in some ways, it contributes to the struggling housing market for people who are looking for apartments.
Every unit that is an Airbnb that I have is a housing unit that a family can't live in, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so if Ned Lamont was to change course and make smarter housing decisions, make it so that it is easier to get rid of someone who is disruptive, make it so that I can get rid of a drug dealer without too much trouble,
right.
To make it so it's not such an unfriendly environment. Some Airbnb operators would come back to the long term. It doesn't pay as well, but it's less work. Airbnb is more work. Not everybody's well suited to it. You have to handle the furnishings and utilities, and there's constant communication. You don't just put a tenant in and they pay rent once a month. There's constant communication.
Right.
Airbnb is not for everybody, and a lot of landlords, I think, that are doing Airbnb, the ones that are, some percentage of them would go back to long-term rentals and return those units to the housing stock if the housing laws were smarter.
Right.
Ned Lamont and Antonio Felipe, they drive landlords into the Airbnb space and make less housing that way.
Are you seeing that growing now?
Every day. Airbnb is popular. Yeah.
Wow. And do they? And I find this interesting because I know there are usually public hearings about this. Are you guys looking to respond to these hearings, or do you just say, "Screw it, I'm just going to open up an Airbnb"? Like, what do you do?
So it's a constant struggle in some of my groups. We have a couple of organizations in the state: the Connecticut Property Owners Alliance and the Connecticut Coalition of Property Owners. That work really hard at the Capitol and try to organize people. Trying to organize landlords is like herding cats.
I can imagine.
We are not well organized.
Self-interest.
We are not well funded. We're busy. We're working a lot. We all those people that came out to fight against that anti-homeschooling bill.
Yeah.
We would have loved to be able to get some kind of response like that. We have never found anything that got landlords to get up and really unify to go and fight, even though this is our livelihood.
Right.
We should be more organized.
But are your issues more complex because some landlords' issues are different than others? Like in essence, so I hate to use the term self-serving in a negative way, but in some way their business model is not sort of aligned with others' business models. Is that kind of the issue, that you guys can't get together cohesively on one major?
It's because every little bit of rights that the Democrats take from us, it's like, it's just a little more, like we're not going to fight that hard. It's like we've never drawn a line in the sand, so to speak.
Wow.
It's like if Ned Lamont went on TV tomorrow and said, we're going to seize all rental properties from all private owners. Like that would be a line in the sand.
Yeah.
We'd be like, okay, we're going to fight now. Okay, all the landlords go to the Capitol. We'll rent the buses.
Yeah.
But we've never had anything like that. There's all these. Some of it is apathy. Some of it is like, we don't think we can win anyway. Some of it is we're just busy. Some of it is like, landlords, we're busy. People think that we sit back and collect rent checks. It's far from that. It's not passive. We work for a living.
Yeah.
And it is so hard to corral us and focus our energies into fighting bad bills. It's a constant frustration for those of us that pay attention.
Would you be the guys that people should listen to in this housing market, or just in housing issues in general? Would you guys be? Because I'll tell you, one of the things that I hear more people combating the slumlords than they do you guys who are reputable property owners. Because the slumlords get all the attention, yet their properties are still slums. You hear all this stuff is like, we're going to make it difficult for out-of-towners to rent slums or to own slums in Hartford. By the way, that never comes to fruition. It's always just blather and a headline. And then the next week, everybody's on to the other stuff. We actually have a sitting member of I think it's a council in West Hartford, a sitting member, an elected official who's actually a real estate agent to the slumlords in Hartford. It's an amazing thing to watch. But you're saying that, you kind of feel like there's no real coalescing of these groups because they kind of feel like they can't sort of fight City Hall. But wouldn't you guys be the ones that could answer all of these questions?
You would think they would ask someone who knows the answers about these bills, right? They never consult any of us when they're putting them together.
Right.
And when they come for hearings, it's like 100 to 10. It's like 100 people in favor of taking away property owner rights, 10 against. But of those 100, I would guess it's almost all of them. They're paid to be there. These tenant advocacy groups and these nonprofits, they're well funded.
I was going to ask you about that.
They're paid to be there. We're supposed to go up on our own time. We're supposed to waste our days. It takes a whole day. Sometimes you got to sit there and wait for your name to be called. These people are paid to be there. That's why it looks so lopsided. Mm-hmm. Well, if we had the budget and we decided to spend our dollars in that way, I'll go pay every kid in a high school to go sit and read off these statements too. We can pay them to be there. It's not right to pay people to push a political agenda in these hearings.
Do you talk to these or engage with any of these advocacy groups?
Minimally. Some we have spoken here and there. Some of them, and some of them we have good communications. They when they're trying to reduce homelessness, when they listen to us, we give them really good feedback on how to get closer to their goals. When we're trying to keep housing costs down,
but they're still screwing you.
At the end of the day, they go the way of the Democrats when they're like, well, we can't kick these people out so they won't be homeless. They don't think about the next 10 people who are trying to get into a place and now can't get into because the landlord raised the minimum standard to get into their apartments. We don't take chances anymore. We're very strict compared to how we were before the virus.
Yeah. It's difficult. Before we let you get out of here, I promised I'd ask you, what do you see the way of landlords and property owners if this bill is passed? But more than likely it will, because they have a supermajority and they'll just pass anything now. How do you believe the market will react to this? What will they have to do? More Airbnbs? Are we going to see more of that, or do you say another direction?
So, I mean, at this moment, right, do you know why Connecticut real estate is so strong? Because we're not the best at anything.
Of course.
We're so strong because we're next to New York, and New York is worse than us. That's why we're so strong.
Okay.
The New Yorkers coming over here and buying homes to live in and buying investment properties is because we are better than New York investments in, I believe, every way.
I think so.
I'm not sure of any measurement that New York is a better investment than Connecticut for residential rental properties.
Right.
And even when the people that want to live here can get so much more for their dollar.
Right.
So if you eventually get to the point where Connecticut is as bad as New York, and there's no benefit to the New Yorkers buying here, which I'm not against, by the way. The New Yorkers tend to not make great landlords.
Right.
Where does the money go? The investment dollars are driven out of state. I don't know what state they go to, but there's the only benefit to Connecticut is that we're geographically close. And again, we're better in every way for investment. If you take away that we're better for investors,
people just leave.
The dollars go.
Yeah.
Investors are very predictable. We are after profit. We're after deals. If you make it unprofitable, if you make it not a deal, we leave or we stop.
Yeah. David Haberfeld, thank you so much, man. I appreciate all of your insight. I think you helped out a lot of people understand what's going on, and we'll have you back.
That would be great.
You got it.
Thanks
you
so
got
much.
it. Thank you. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
We do actually have some more details. John Silva was talking about the story in the top of the hour news, and this just came across my field. We do have information on the 12-year-old girl, Enfield girl, whose police are investigating the death of. According to WFSB, it says Enfield and state police officers are investigating the death of 12-year-old Eve Rogers, who was found dead inside of her home on Elm Street Wednesday morning. Authorities said that they responded to 176 Elm Street around 10:25 a.m. They said a 911 call came from inside the house around that time on Wednesday. Eve's mother, who's known as Melanie Federline, said that she went to wake up her daughter and found her dead instead. Her family called 911 and are now talking to police. Enfield police took on the investigation with the help from the Connecticut State Police Major Crime Unit. Forensic team was at the home for most of the day on Wednesday. Investigators were granted a search warrant to examine the entire house and spent more than 12 hours on the scene Wednesday. Quote, the capabilities and skills set of the folks in the Major Crime Squad van are very technical and forensic in nature. So, out of an abundance of caution, we make sure a scene is processed completely and properly so that no one does find out in hindsight that that it was necessary to process the scene after it was too late. This, according to Chief Arlick Fox of the Enfield Police Department. Fox said it is still not clear if a crime took place. Chief Medical Examiner said her cause and manner of death is still pending. Police said the investigating items they found inside the home during the search. Quote, we're talking to anyone that we think, including family members, that might have relevant information. Federline said that she'll remember her daughter as the sweetest, feistiest girl you've ever met and wants to know what caused her to lose the girl she says lit up her life. A GoFundMe page has been set up for the family. Eve, she says, was an unmatched energy in this world. She was filled with passion, justice, and light, a light the world needed, the page reads. So those are the recent details coming out of WFSB on the young girl, Eve Rogers. I'll say in full disclosure, I had the young lady's name from the moment the story broke, but I did not want to give it. Because I was waiting for a confirmation from the police department. I wanted them, just because, so that you know. All right, so those are your details. on that case. We will find out, I guess, in due course, the cause of death of Eve Rogers. Nonetheless, may she rest with her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We go to Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. More news and more views. I did that at the top of the hour. You know what? Let's do this and get it out of the way. News. Happy birthday goes to Ruth Pointer of the Pointer Sisters, born in 1946. She turns 80. She's the eldest sister of the group, behind the songs I'm So Excited and Jump for My Love, and 3 Grammy wins. Billy Sheehan, the Mr. Big bassist, was born in 1953. He turned 73. He is the virtuoso known for To Be With You, which went to #1 and worked with David Lee Roth, which we mentioned yesterday. Tom Constantine, Grateful Dead keyboardist. He was, they say, was born 1968 or 1970. What? What does that even mean? Oh, he's a keyboardist from 1968 to 1970. He was born in 1944. He turns 82. Clarence the Frogman Henry. He turns 89. He was born in 1937. Now, I want to know, isn't this the guy, Clarence Frogman? I ain't got a home. I'm almost certain that's him. I ain't got a home. I'm positive from that song. I think that's one of my favorite songs. I'm almost positive that's Frogman Henry. Anyway, 53 years ago, Jethro Tull's Aqualung in 1971 sold over 7 million copies. 50 years ago, Kiss's Dress to Kill in 1975 celebrates its 50th anniversary. 50 years ago, the Doobie Brothers, Taking It to the Streets in 1976 was the first album with Michael McDonald on vocals, with the title track to hit number 13. 64 years ago, Bob Dylan's self-titled debut album, mostly folk covers plus 2 originals, initially dismissed but later recognized as the start of his legendary career. Other notable milestones: 25 years ago, Aerosmith, Queen, Michael Jackson, Paul Simon, Steely Dan, and more were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was in 2001. 44 years ago, Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne's Quiet Riot's guitarist, died at 25 in a plane crash. That was in 1982. And 21 years ago, 50 Cent became the first solo artist with 3 singles simultaneously in the U.S. top 5. Those 3 included Candy Shop, which went to #1, plus 2 others from his 2005 Massacre album. We were just talking about that the other day, weren't we, Roland? We were just talking about that Massacre album. Yeah, 50. Even though that album did well, it didn't do what good Get Rich or Die Trying did. And I don't think anything will either. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Nothing you can do about that. In fact, that Get Rich or Die Trying, I put it up there. As far as singles are concerned, it was just as popular as the singles that were on Thriller. Because I think Thriller had maybe about 8 really hit records on it. People, I don't include Dirty Diana. I know people do, but I don't. Was it Lady in My Life was on that album? Human Nature, which was a big record on that album. Of course, Thriller and Beat It and what was the other one? Billie Jean. You know, there were a lot of hits on that album. Of course, 50 Cent had a lot of hits on Get Rich or Die Trying.
Some people consider it a no-skip album.
Yes, that's right. I love that term, no-skip album. I love that term. But when you had a cassette tape, that's when it sucked. If you skipped a record on a cassette, that was awful. I hated doing that. That was the worst. Michael McDonald killed the Doobie Brothers. Michael A., I'm siding with you on that. I mean, that voice is uncanny. It's absolutely uncanny. Yes, it is true that Eve Rogers was homeschooled. Adam 12 is texting me, and Adam 12 is looking up some background on that story as well. Let me get to this because I promised I would. So this woman from Lindell TV, her name is Cara Castanova. You've seen her on television. She's been inside. She's a White House correspondent, and she's got some great reporting. I love it when I see her on television. Well, she decided to go to D.C., which a lot of people refer to as Chocolate City, majority black, and went there to talk to them about the Save America Act, because people like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries refer to it as Jim Crow 2.0. Well, here's what happened when Cara spoke to African Americans in the city of D.C.
After hearing that a large number of Democrats support voter ID and the Save America Act, I wanted to test that myself. So I went into the heart of deep blue Washington, D.C. to talk to people on the street. And the takeaway was unmistakable.
I'm a Democrat, proud Democrat.
Proud Democrat. Do you think that you should be required to show ID to vote?
Yes, I do.
And do you think that you should have to prove you're a United States citizen to register to vote?
Yes.
Do you think that people should have to come in and show ID to prove who they are when they vote?
If you're in the United States, yes. If you're in another country, they got their own rules and regulations, but the United States has a constitution.
Do you think it would be difficult for some people to prove they're a citizen?
Yeah, if you snuck here illegally. If you were born here, you shouldn't have an issue.
I'm born and raised here. You got to show some kind of ID, because if you don't, you're an alias, right?
Everyone's supposed to have an ID. Yep, that's the law. That's the law. I have one right here.
So you have your ID with you?
Yeah, I'm a citizen. See the photo? That's important.
Democrat or Republican?
Democrat.
It is good that you have to present identification and proof of citizenship in order to vote. It makes sense to me.
Now, not that you needed to be told that, but I'm pretty sure you can tell from they're all black. They're all Democrat. They are. But, not to be outdone, Cara Castanova did find someone in D.C. who was against voter ID. It went a little like this. Oh, no, I screwed it up. Here it is. My bad. Forgive me. There it is.
You supported voter ID. While most people we spoke to supported voter ID, we did find somebody that disagreed. Do you think that you need to show an ID in order to vote?
No.
Are you a citizen yet?
I'll try doing this year.
Just in case you missed it, you're in your car, just getting in your car. What did you miss? Again, Cara Castanova went to D.C., talked to a bunch of African-American people about what they felt about the Save America Act. She found one person who was against voter ID at the polls. That individual was a Hispanic man, obviously well-employed. He was wearing a green neon vest, clearly at work. He said no.
While most people we spoke to supported voter ID, we did find somebody that disagreed. Do you think that you need to show an ID in order to vote?
No.
Are you a citizen yet?
I'll try doing this year.
Yeah, I'll try to do it this year. I don't know. It's incredible, but sometimes it's not. It's not incredible. Kathy Hochul, she is also in the news. You might remember that she told a whole bunch of people in New York and in New York State they didn't belong there, and to take their behinds down to Palm Beach or Florida. Get out of here. Nobody wants your kind here.
And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town. Get out of town. Because you don't represent our values. You are not New Yorkers.
You don't represent our values. You are not New Yorkers. Kathy Hochul, now that they've all left, what say you?
What I want to make sure we are smart about is having a system in place where it's not just taxing for the sake of taxing, and being conscious of the fact that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who've stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home, because our tax base has been eroded.
I wonder why. How did the tax base get eroded, Kathy Hochul? I have an idea.
And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town. Get out of town. Because you don't represent our values.
Well, they got out of town, stupid. They were all too eager to get the hell out of town. And it's not like they're not recognizing it. Again, remember, the socialists have taken over their party, and their socialists have explained to them that, you know what, we need to tax the rich. We have to tax the rich. Why? For social programs. Well, when you let the idiots take over the asylum, that's exactly what happens. The wealthy people leave. And Stephanie Rule of MS Now, formerly of MSNBC, she knows it. California is so-called trying to tax the billionaires, too.
This idea in California that they're going to have the billionaires tax, I'm not even saying whether I like it or not, but what I am saying is, if you think you're going to get billionaires in California to suddenly fork over a giant amount of money, they're not. Right. Here's the thing about being a billionaire. You're not worried about leaving your house empty in New York City. You're not worried about where your kids go to school. If you're a billionaire, you're going to pick up stakes and you're going to go somewhere else and you're going to bring your tutors and your kids. So this idea that like they're going to scoop up the billionaires there, I don't know how they're possibly going to do that. I'm not saying whether they should or they shouldn't, but I'm saying in terms of execution,
it's just going to be hard to do. Yeah.
I do, like, guess what? Nobody is better at swan diving through a loophole than billionaires. Yeah. They can pick up and move.
Swan diving through a loophole. They are out of here. And that's exactly what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So, last but not least, folks, what do you think leftists would do if they were confronted with a MAGA person wearing a MAGA hat or a MAGA T-shirt versus a man running at them screaming Allahu Akbar? Whom would they side with, or whom would they be more afraid of? Well, someone asked.
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting Allahu Akbar running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
But you would get along with a radical Islamist?
Yes.
And you're gay?
Yes.
What is a bigger threat to America today? Radical Islam or Trump supporters?
Trump supporters. I'll say Trump.
Trump supporters and MAGA.
Yeah.
I would say Trump supporters and MAGA.
I would have to go with the Trump supporters.
Trump supporters and MAGA.
Trump supporters and MAGA.
I'd say MAGA. But we should be able to allow people to be who they are.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. We should allow people to be who they are. Except MAGA. MAGA supporters, except them. They can't be who they are. The radical Islamists, we need to make sure he or she, they must allow them to be who they are. MAGA supporter, no, can't allow that. Absolutely fantastic. I love every bit of it. Should this be the last but not least? Yes, I've got time to play this. John Solomon of Just the News. Hasn't been wrong yet, ladies and gentlemen. Well, he's got some new details that involve the 2020 and, turns out, the 2024 election. What might that be? John?
There are scores of raw intelligence reports that show Chinese meddling in the American election, and there's one report raising concern that Ukraine was engaged in a plot to do something bad in the 2024 election to help Joe Biden. I want to repeat that. There is intercepted intelligence that the Trump administration has had for many, many months, in which it is suggested by Ukrainian officials that they're going to try to help Joe Biden win the election using American taxpayer money.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. So I'm hoping that DNI Tulsi Gabbard drops that information and reveals it to the rest of us before she's allegedly fired, because that's Rumorville now, that she's about to go. I think Bill O'Reilly said it on News Nation that it's just weeks away before she is let go at that investigation. Also, I just read a article to let you know. Actually, I can't do this here because I don't want to lose this story about Mamdani's wife saying the N-word. That's Mayor Mamdani. apparently his wife, I just saw it. I saw the post, but apparently she is using the N-word, but she is using the so-called, the GA version of, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. She's using, the vernacular by the hip hoppers, in that way. That's the way she put it. Yeah, according to this, it says FBI investigation found that Joe Kent leaked details from classified server to a member of the media and other leaks to Tucker Carlson. That's why the interview with Tucker Carlson was ready to go when he quit. FBI plans to release the details and show the investigation predated his resignation. So we may see those documents very, very soon. All right, so stand by for that. And guys, this Michael P. on there that's saying I only got, 645 subscribers? I'm actually very excited. Thank you. I remember when it was just 20. More and more people are finding the show. All right, 625. I'm sorry, I don't have millions. Oh, man. But you know what? 625 is better than zero, Michael. I appreciate you. Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center getting you home. Hey, buddy.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
One report.
My bad. Anyway, listen to that voice. Do exactly what he says. Download the Odyssey app or go to WTIC.com so you never miss a moment of the program or any program for that matter here on WTIC, ReeseOnRadio.com as well. On today's program, we had David Haberfeld, who was here to tell us about the no fault eviction bill that is going to be up for, I guess, committee hearing or something like that, to give you all the details. So go back and check out his conversation on the show. And we're definitely going to have him back as that story progresses. I want to talk about this story that I ran into thanks to Jeff Cordisco of C&D Underwater Maintenance. And I didn't know this, aside from the fact that I knew that DQuat was dangerous. And it turns out that there is a woman who wrote an article for her blog, which is called birdsoutsidemywindow.org. It's a woman by the name of Kate St. John. And she wrote this article back in 2022 and found a study of how DQuat bromide affects not just aquatic animals, fish and wildlife, but bald eagles. And I want to share a little bit about that with you, what we found out. Like I said, I forwarded this article and the information to Senator Blumenthal and to Greg Bugby, who, for some odd reason, oddly enough, is not answering his phone. I've tried to call him several times, and I feel, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I feel like he doesn't want to talk to me because of that article that came out in the Hartford Courant. And I hope he understands that I'm not upset with him in any way. He didn't do anything. It's like, come on, buddy. Did he? It looks like right now I just tried to call him again, and I kind of feel like I can't get through. Wow, yeah, maybe he's blocked me. No. A public official? Why? Why would he do that? I don't know. We'll look into it. Maybe, we'll find out, Yeah, I'm not against going up to the guy's office, maybe knocking on the door. Greg. Hi, Greg. Hey. He did promise me a boat ride. He did, right? We've had a great rapport. Now people are blocking my number. It's kind of sad. It is. It's kind of sad. You try to be nice to people, Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Can you believe that, Mark? They won't take... Last time I spoke to the guy, we had a great rapport. Now he won't take my phone calls. I didn't do anything.
Somebody put a bug in his ear or something.
No, he wrote it. There was an article that he was on where he said that he was for herbicides, even though he knew there was an eco-friendly way to do it. And I think he found out that he is for using herbicide, which I know he was always for. But then when I called him and I said, hey, let's talk about it. I heard you're in the news, and all of a sudden he's not answering the call. And I'm like, come on, buddy. I'm not mad at you, but he won't take my phone calls.
What is it? Dequat? Is that what you were talking about? Yeah, the chemical they're trying to kill that invasive weed. In the
hydrilla. Yeah.
Hydrilla, yeah.
Yeah. So we found out some new information on Dequat, and it's really, really damaging. What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
I got to play this. I didn't expect that to actually happen there. I just moved the darn cursor, and it's there. So I'm going to save the Dequat thing for tomorrow because it's a lot of stuff to get in here, and we'll do it roughly at about 3 o'clock. Was tomorrow Friday? Tomorrow's Friday. It's already Thursday? What the heck? I don't like it when the week goes by this fast. It's Thursday. Yeah, stop celebrating. Stop it. Too excited. Do you have bowling this weekend? No? I guess you do. You have bowling this weekend?
I do not have bowling this weekend.
I didn't know that. I saw you in there drumming, but I saw you doing a little twirly thing with what's name. So you play sticks, huh?
I told you this already.
I didn't know you were a drummer. Did I know that?
Oh, my God. You don't listen.
No, this is true. This is true. I'm horrible at it.
You are a, what do you call it?
Selfish?
No, not selfish. You are a, what's the word for when you're listening but you're not really hearing?
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's me.
That's you.
I'm trying. I have other things on my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I'm just saying. But you don't have bowling. You're just excited for the weekend.
Yeah.
Are you going anywhere?
No, because the last 2 weekends I've been away with that dance.
Oh, that's right.
I'm just happy. I just get to stay home and chill.
I got you.
So, yeah.
I got to check my bracket because I'm doing this bracket thing with you. And you said,
I got him, folks. I got him.
Yeah, you forced me.
I ran up on him in the studio and said, hey, give me $20.
He watched me. And download the stupid app.
Yeah, sign up for this NCAA March Madness. You never know. Sometimes, the unlikely person is the person that ends up winning.
He stood over my shoulder, everybody.
Yep,
he said, no, do that, download that, get that. Okay, right there. Put the and he watched all of my picks. Yeah. Which, by the way, I have St. John's winning it all. I have St. John's,
which is not a bad pick.
I know. Listen, I know a lot of the teams. Yeah, I even knew their nicknames. I'm a sports guy.
Rick Pitino, man, you can't go wrong with him.
No, that's true.
He's a great head coach.
He is a great head coach.
Everywhere he goes, he gets to the Final Four for some way, somehow.
I totally do. Totally admit it. That's the reason why I went with him. I mean, I've always kind of had a personal affinity to Rick Pitino. I'll tell you that story a bit later on. Anyway, I want to move on. Let me do this thing real quick. John Solomon of Just the News. I played the clip earlier, so for those of you who may be joining us late, just getting into the car, let me play John Solomon, what he said earlier.
There are scores of raw intelligence reports that show Chinese meddling in the American election, and there's one report raising concern that Ukraine was engaged in a plot to do something bad in the 2024 election to help Joe Biden. I want to repeat that. There is intercepted intelligence that the Trump administration has had for many, many months, in which it is suggested by Ukrainian officials that they're going to try to help Joe Biden win the election using American taxpayer money.
Now, what was the American taxpayer money? Well, John Solomon went into details.
I confirmed this morning. You see, there's a foreign power that was discussing routing USAID money to Joe Biden's campaign in 2024. That was intercepted by our intelligence agencies. They should be driving that narrative with evidence. They don't know how to command the podium. They don't know. President Trump does. His storytellers don't. They react. They counterpunch. They let the other people throw the first punch like Tulsi today, and they don't tell the narrative.
So, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And don't give me that, are we still litigating this? Yes. Yes. I don't even want to just litigate it. I want retribution. I want it all. So we're going to keep letting it. So you poo-poo it all you want. Poo-poo it. Biden's gone. Nah, that's not enough. That's not enough. Those 4 years, I want payback. I want payback for all of that. I want all of that. All of it. No matter what you got, I want every bit of it. Don't give me that. You can tell me to move on all you want to. I'm not moving on. Not moving on. I want you to reap. And we understand that. Was it James Comey just got subpoenaed? Yes, for the grand jury. Let's go. I want Brennan next. Let's get John Bolton in there. Hell yeah. I want everybody. I want their dog. I want the family dog being hauled in for questioning everything. I want the maids. I want everybody. Everybody gets hauled in. I want every bit of it. Yes, yes, more and more. It ain't over till it's over. You guys seem to forget Donald Trump took office in 2025. We're in the beginning of 2026. It ain't been that long. As my mother used to say before she used to beat the hell out of us, I'm going to beat you for old and new. I want prosecutions for old and new. If Obama's crew did something in 2015, I want that too. I want it all. I want every bit of it. Okay, just so you know.
My mom said the same thing to me one time.
She said, I want to get you for old and new.
Something you thought you got away with. I'm getting you for that too. I said, yo, that's crazy.
Find me the man and I'll find you the crime.
that's wild.
Yeah, man. That is not, I'm telling you, my mom was like that. I'm beating you for old and new.
That's horrible.
Damn. And she did not play because I got the bruises still to prove it. So I don't want to hear any nonsense for the rest of these knuckleheads. I don't want to hear. What did you get? What did you get? What did you download? Did you have audio for me? You can't. Oh, okay. You want to play it after? Okay. Absolutely. Anyway, before we get up out of here, we haven't talked to Patty in a while. Hello, Patty.
Hi, Reese. Great show.
Thank you.
Two real quick things. There's somebody else who's thinking like you with the pesticides, herbicides.
Yes.
And it's the MAHA movement. I sent it to your email.
Okay.
I think October of last year, they went to Washington, D.C., and it was an activist group for the MAHA groups, and they went with their representatives, and they went to the EPA. And their mission was to concerns about pesticides and agricultural pollutants.
Wow.
You know we don't want our food poisoned.
How long ago was this? Do you know, Patty?
I think it was October of last year.
Okay, October of last year. Okay, I will definitely look that up. So I'm glad it's gone. Okay.
In your email. One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing. The SAFE Act. Real quick on that. Mm-hmm. Do they want us just to show proof of identification like your driver's license? Or I'm going to add to that. Or do they want to show proof of birthplace? And if so, people's license when they get married, say somebody was divorced once or twice or three times, and they have to go back to prove the documents and then to get their original birth certificate so that they can now prove whoever that they are. How many documents do they expect people to have? And how about naturalized citizens, Reese?
Well, those people, wait a minute, if you're a naturalized, hold on, if you're a naturalized citizen, right? In fact, somebody there was a story, you know what? Hold on. You know what I got to do? I got to have it tomorrow because Mike Lee actually talked about this. I have that audio, but I don't have it here. It's on my home computer. I will have that for you tomorrow. But you bring up a very, very good point because there are some.
One last point to that same issue.
Last ma'am. Okay.
Are they collecting documents for AI or are they just looking for proof of citizenship?
That's a good question. Absolutely. But I got the Mike Lee audio, then I will play it tomorrow. Thank you, Patty. And by the way, I'm going to look for that. I'll look for that email. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
You got
Great
it.
show.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, this DQuat thing, and you know what? Now that I know that I'm going to save the DQuat story for tomorrow, then I'll grab Patty's email to sort of pile on with that information. So stand by for that. Let me see. I think that's about it. I don't know if Roseanne's going to be on tomorrow. And you know what? Let me just do this. This will probably save me the trouble. Let me see if she will answer the phone. Oh, you know what? Look at that. Can you believe that, Roland? I have no reception in the building. Yeah, well, at least I was. I'm going to cut it off and turn it back on because you know how you have to go through the whole network thing. I'm trying to do that. Okay, it says connected. I'm still trying. I got nothing here. It's not even telling me if I am connected. Let me see. Oh, by the way, City Hall, Adam says to you, Roland, rumor has it that Connecticut Democrats have proposed a new tax on bowlers and drummers. But don't play with those people, Adam. Don't play with them. These people will do that. They will do some craziness like that in here. Oh, yeah, it turns out I don't have any reception here. Yeah, it says emergency calls only. I can't. Can you believe that? That sucks. That is a joke. Does that say, is that Sprague? What town is that? I never know where that is. Christopher's calling from Sprague. Hello, Christopher.
How are you today, Reese?
I'm good, sir. What do you got for me?
Oh, well, I'm glad I didn't miss your dicot bromide story.
Okay.
You're doing it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to have it tomorrow because the story that was done by this woman, Kate St. John, actually cites the National Institute of Health and their discoveries on the bromide and how it affects the brain of bald eagles.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I've been in the pesticide industry for 38 years.
Okay. You are perfect for this story.
And I'll check out her article and all that.
Okay.
But there's Chicken Little stuff in the pesticide. I mean, politicians have no business talking about pesticides. Okay.
Agreed.
All right. The whole, and I'm just going to cite it quick, and then I'll let you get back to your show.
Yes, sir.
But the whole Roundup thing is garbage. It's horse hockey. Okay. It's just.
So you're saying
garbage.
it's not a dangerous carcinogen in the way in which the EPA or other organizations are. Is it sort of like DDT, the way that the environmentalists have sort of blown it out of proportion?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Roundup, definitely. Glyphosate, if it's used according to label instructions, is safe. I've been using glyphosate for 38 years. Okay.
Well, Christopher, can I ask you this? Can you do me a favor? I will listen, what I'll do is tomorrow I'll do this part of the story at about 3:00, and then I will dedicate the next half hour to you, like at 3:35. You call in.
Way.
No
way. No way. I can't take that kind of responsibility, Reese. I just picked you up about 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize you were black until 3 weeks in, okay? and
that doesn't mean anything. What I'm saying is I want to give you the story, and then I want to hear your expertise on herbicides. That's all. I want you to share that with the audience.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be 50% subjective and 50% objective.
Okay.
And real quick, Bayer Corporation did not buy Monsanto knowing that there weren't lawsuits pending.
Okay.
Okay. Now, of course, Bayer Corporation, they gave us aspirin. All right.
Yeah.
They give us wonderful plastics. They do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But German businessmen do not spend $78 billion on a company if it's doomed for failure.
Yeah, listen. I totally understand that. I do have to get out of here, but Christopher, I hope I hear from you tomorrow as I cover this story, and I'd like to hear your rebuttal, or I don't want to call it a rebuttal, but your response to it.
We have no business putting herbicides in the water.
I agree, 100%. Good. Well, we'll get your feedback tomorrow. Thank you so much for the call, Christopher.
Sounds great. Great to meet you, Reese.
Thank you, sir. You too. Have a great one. Folks, it's time for us to get up out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. By the way, T-shirts for Reese on Radio are coming up soon. We're getting closer to April. We're going to start looking at my designer or, my provider, distributor, whatever it is, where we're going to go out there and check it out. I don't know if Roseanne's going to be here tomorrow. Well, if we do, I'll let you know online. Follow me at ReeseOnRadio.com in order to find out. Mark Christopher, he is getting you home. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. We'll see you tomorrow at 2. Good night, sir.
When is the Reese on the Radio outlet store or online store starting?
Well,
why stop with T-shirts? Let's get coffee mugs going here.
I don't think we're getting there. I don't think we're getting there yet.
Maybe we can get some Kim Kardashian skimwear, Reese-style skimwear.
No, none of that. We're not going to. I'm not that popular, but we'll find out. Mark Christopher, he's getting you home and getting me out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 2. Good night, Mark.
Have a good night, Reese. Thanks.